Hello and welcome back for Chapter 6. We just stopped where BB and Kyle had gotten Darren out of the fire. Here we go. Now that I didn't have to drag Darren behind me, BB and I moved quickly down the remaining stairs. As we rounded the last landing, we saw a bright flash of light below us. Darren had opened the door from the stairway to the lobby. "Help!" he shouted. "Somebody help me!" We hurried down the last few steps toward the door, but before we got there, the light disappeared. Darren had left the stairwell, letting the door close behind him. My brain raced even faster than my feet. I knew the electricity was still off, and if it had come back on, the lights in the stairway would be working. So that flash of light that we saw when Darren opened the door to the lobby could only mean one thing. The first floor of the hotel was on fire. Could we run through it and get outside? Or should we go back up to the second floor, try to find an unlocked room, open a window, and yell for help? What if all the rooms were locked? Even if we got to a window and called for help, who would hear us? As far as I knew, the desk clerk was the only staff person on the premises. Everyone else, like the bellhop and the room service man, came over as needed from the new Frontier Lodge. Better to take our chances crossing the lobby now before the fire got any worse. We reached the bottom of the stairs. I put my hand on the doorknob, but it didn't turn. "The main floor is on fire, isn't it?" Phoebe said. "I think so." In my mind, I pictured the hotel lobby. "As soon as I open this door," I said, "run straight ahead. Just to the right of the front desk, there's a door that goes outside. It's closer to the stairway than the main entrance is. I went that way this morning when I came back to the room for my camera." I took a deep breath. "Ready?" "Ready." I pulled the door open, felt a blast of hot air, and saw why Darren had called for help. The entire lobby was ablaze. The area where the front desk had been was an enormous bonfire with fingers of flame reaching toward the ceiling. The carpet looked as if someone had set dozens of tiny fires in random pattern across the floor. Sparks flew up, then drifted down again like flocks of fireflies. The plate glass window overlooking the Pacific Ocean had shattered, and the sea breeze blew in, fanning the flames. "Run!" I yelled. I grabbed BB's hand and took off, lifting my feet as high as I could, trying to avoid the burning patches of carpet. I felt as if I were in a war zone, dodging landmines. I expected the floor beneath us to ignite into solid flames at any second. At least I could see. After the dark stairway, the fire in the lobby was so bright that I just shut my eyes part way, but I saw the outside door that I remembered, and I led BB toward it. I grabbed the brass door handle, then jerked my hand back. The smell of blistered, charred skin joined the smell of smoke as pain shot up my arm. I ripped the wet towel from my face and used it to open the door. I pushed BB through first, then stumbled after her. I heard sirens now, rising and falling like a pack of howling wolves. Fire trucks must be on the way. We ran away from the burning building. When we were far enough to feel safe, we stopped and looked around. I expected to see other hotel guests or employees who had escaped, but I saw no one. BB and I might have been the only people in the world. I wondered where Darren was. Had he made it out, or was he still trapped in the burning lobby? If he had headed for the main lobby doors, rather than the small side door that we had used, he may not have reached it. I wish he had stayed with us instead of pushing ahead by himself. Well, I wasn't going to go back and look for him when I didn't know if he was inside. My hand throbbed where it had burned on the door handle. I pressed the wet towel against the burn. BB began to cry. "We're safe now," I told her. "I know," she said, her voice trembling, "but I left Bill upstairs in the room." "Well, maybe he'll be okay. Hear the sirens? The fire truck should be here any second." "Do you think Darren got out?" "I don't know. I hope so." "You saved his life," BB said, "and he didn't even wait for us." "Shh! Are those sirens still getting louder?" "Yes." "No. They were coming closer, but now they've stopped." We heard people shouting. "I see our room," BB said, pointing up. "Top floor, right over the lobby." I looked. Yellow flames shot out of every window on the third floor. As we looked up at our room, the roof collapsed with a loud rumble, like a dozen dump trucks unloading at the same time. For a second, I thought it was another earthquake, but then I saw that the totem pole end was caving in on itself. The fire roared skyward as the flames consumed the roof beams. I shuddered, thinking about what would have happened if we had stayed on our room or the second floor. "Bill is burning up," BB said. "I'm sorry," I said, and I meant it. BB had carried around Bill Bear around with her for so long that he really seemed like one of the family. I let her cry for a few seconds, and then I said, "Come on." "Where are we going?" "We'll walk around to the back of the hotel," I said, "to the road. Then we're going up the hill." Bibi didn't argue. She slipped her hand in mine, and together we skirted the remains of the burning Totem Pole Inn. The odd smell I'd noticed inside was stronger now, making my head ache. "I smell gas," Bibi said. When we reached the road behind the hotel, the voices were louder. We saw more flames across the street. "Look," I said, "the new hotel's on fire." "There are the fire engines," Bibi said. "That's why the fire stopped." The siren stopped. The firefighters came to the Frontier Lodge. From where we stood, the road ran downhill to the Frontier Lodge. The dark smoke from the two fires blew inland, giving us a good view of the burning lodge. "I hope the owners had insurance," Bibi said. Although the sun hadn't set yet, the sky had an orange glow. I peered nervously at the waves washing onto the beach below us. They were the same size as always. I looked toward the horizon, trying to see the yacht that Mom and Dad were on, but it was no longer visible. Either it had gone beyond my view, or it had already come home. I hoped that the Elegant Empress had returned early, and that Mom and Dad were on their way back to the Totem Pole Inn. I liked babysitting when nothing went wrong. Ordering pizza and tipping the delivery man had been fun, but being in charge during an earthquake and a fire, that wasn't fun at all. That was terrifying. "There you are!" Darren came up behind us. His clothes looked singed, and he was missing a shoe. I never thought I'd be glad to see Darren Hazelton, but it was a relief to know he had made it out of the hotel. Even so, I tensed, expecting him to slug me. For once, he kept his hands to himself. "Are you hurt?" I asked. "Did you get burned?" "Well, one sneaker caught on fire, and I had to kick it off. And after I got outside, I coughed up a lot of black gook, but I'm okay. What about you?" "I burned my hand on the door handle when we left the lobby." "I stepped out through the broken window," he said, as if he had been far more clever than I had been. "What are you standing here for?" "We're watching the fire," Bibi said. "We aren't staying here," I said. "We're going up the road to the top of the hill." "Are you crazy?" Darren said. "Look at all the trees on that hill. I hiked up there this morning, and it's nothing but woods. With both hotels on fire, those woods will probably catch on fire too. They're going to be a huge forest fire, and if you go that way, you'll be trapped in it." "Well, where are you going to go?" Bibi asked. "After I watch the fire, I'll go down to the ocean. Water won't burn, so the beach is the safest place to be." "Well, what if there's a tsunami?" I said. "A what?" "A tidal wave. Sometimes earthquakes trigger tsunamis, and a sign on the beach said it could happen here. When there's an earthquake, everyone is supposed to go uphill as soon as the earthquake ends. Get as far away from the water as possible." "Well, I don't plan on being burned alive in a forest fire, and I'm not scared of getting washed away by a wave," Darren said. "Suit yourself," I said. "Bibi and I are climbing the hill." We left Darren and followed the road up the hill. Darren called after us. "If you have a brain in that thick skull of yours, Davidson, you'll go down to the water with me instead of running away like a scared little rabbit." If no tsunami comes, I thought, I'll never hear the end of this. Darren will tell every kid at Edison School that I ran away while he was brave. So Kyle is having to make a really tough choice right now. The fire is still going on, but he was able to get out with Bibi, and they were able to save Darren successfully. But now he has to make a choice whether he's going to go uphill in case there's a tsunami, or he's going to go down to the beach to stay away from the fire, because as Darren pointed out, that's all woods uphill, and that could catch on fire and become a forest fire as well. So Darren is heading down to the beach, and Bibi and Kyle are heading up into the woods. And that is it. That was chapter 6. We are halfway through this book. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. Make sure you do your Google form.